Welcome to Lesson 5 in Unit 4, River Rescue. This lesson is the first lesson in the second section of this unit. In this lesson, students will work to answer the question, how can we move the garbage? In the last section, students investigated the problem of garbage pollution in the Mississippi River. They used cause and effect to determine that humans cause garbage pollution and that garbage pollution harms other living things. They also investigated and sorted different types of garbage pollution based on observable properties. In this lesson, students continue in the engineering design cycle. They begin to think about how garbage in the river could be moved and plan and conduct an investigation to compare pushes and pulls. Students figure out that pushes and pulls can move an object. An object will move one direction when pushed and another direction when pulled. An object moves farther with a stronger push or pull. Students make connections to the storyline by beginning to think about solutions and testing ideas to gather data to solve the anchoring problem. There are several opportunities for ELA cross-curricular connections throughout the lesson. You can look for specific standard connections in the Unit 4 teacher guide. This lesson will take approximately 5 days to complete. You will begin the engage portion of this lesson by facilitating a discussion about the research students have done about the garbage in the Mississippi River. Students will discuss and brainstorm ideas to create a solution and remove the garbage from the river. Then, you will show students the engineering design cycle and remind them that engineers use what they've learned to think about and design solutions. There is a teaching tip in this section. Remind students that the engineering design cycle is a way to organize a systematic approach to solving problems and designing solutions. It is important to note that although the diagram shows a cycle, steps can be repeated and revisited as many times as needed. Next, you will revisit the driving question board. Add any new questions and highlight others connected to the learning goals of this lesson by calling attention to questions such as, how can we get the garbage out of the water, and how we can move the garbage. If no questions directly relate, use prompts to build on student questions, supporting them to think about what they might be able to do to clean the garbage. This section includes an opportunity to utilize differentiation strategies. If students are struggling to come up with ideas in the brainstorm, ask questions about how they pick up after themselves, or how they throw garbage and recycling away in the classroom. It is also beneficial to have students discuss with and swap partners to share their initial ideas. If desired, you can make a chart of student ideas. You can come back to this chart in the elaborate portion of this lesson. In the explore portion of this lesson, you will brainstorm with students how they can move an object or trash out of the water. You will set up the pushes and pulls investigation so that students can use tools to test and compare how they can move objects. To conduct this investigation, you will need to prepare enough materials for each engineering team to have a bag of garbage items from Lesson 2 and a compostable spoon and a paint stick. Teams will select one garbage item to test. You will introduce the tools students will use to test how to make objects move. Let students know that they will use the tools to test and compare different strengths of movement. If needed, pause the screen to view the materials you will need. Note, students will compare strengths of pushes and pulls and might push items off of their tables. If desired, have students complete this investigation on the floor. This section includes an opportunity to utilize differentiation strategies. Students might be familiar with the word force in their everyday language. Make connections between the word and their understanding of it as the class investigates pushes and pulls. Students will compare strong pushes and pulls with weaker pushes and pulls. If desired, give students tools to help measure the differences between them. You can use rulers, pencils, string, or paper clips. To continue the investigation, you will put students into groups of engineering teams of 4. They will continue to be in these teams for the rest of the unit. They will conduct the investigation and record their observations as data on the How Can You Move the Object student journal page. This section includes an opportunity to attend to equity. Since students will work together in their engineering teams for the rest of the unit, when creating groups, we advise that the teacher creates the groups in order to make them more equitable. It is best to have students in groups of 3 or 4 that consist of mixed ability, gender, and cultural background. The article, Designing Group Work, from Ambitious Science Teaching has more information on group arrangements and facilitating discussions. Students will have an opportunity to complete the investigation with their teams. From this investigation, students will observe that they can use the tools to push or pull objects. The spoon is better for pulling because it has a circular shape up top. Pulling moves an object closer. The paint stick is better for pushing because it has a flat surface. Pushing moves an object farther away. A strong push or pull will move the item more than a gentle one. Heavier items require more strength to push or pull. Have students use the How Can You Move the Object student journal page to complete the quick check at the bottom of the page. See the assessment tracker for guidance on this formative assessment. In the Explain portion of this lesson, you will invite students to gather in a circle to share their findings from their pushes and pulls investigation. You will use the following question to guide your discussion around how can we move the garbage? You will use this discussion to create the Lesson 5 summary chart. Now is a good opportunity to post the push vocabulary card and pull vocabulary card. The goal of this class discussion is for students to analyze data from their pushes and pulls investigation to explain how an object moves. From this discussion, students will understand that a push moves the objects away. A big push moves them faster and farther than a soft push. A push moves the objects closer. A big pull moves them closer and faster than a soft pull. Students will understand that we can use pushes and pulls to move the garbage in the Mississippi River. After the discussion, you will introduce the book Up the Hill by My Science Story. Use the Read Aloud guide to read Up the Hill. This read aloud provides an opportunity to attend to equity. You can use the book Up the Hill to discuss with students how Pig and Fox took turns and how they helped each other. Have a conversation about how students can help one another to achieve goals and how helping can be fun. Include how Pig and Fox were able to ride down the hill together and share the fun. In the elaborate portion of this lesson, you will return to the engineering design cycle. You will say to students, we've learned a lot about pushes and pulls. How might a push be used to help solve the problem of garbage in the Mississippi River? How might a pull be used to help solve the problem of garbage in the Mississippi River? This section includes an opportunity to utilize a differentiation strategy. If you made a chart of student ideas for how to clean up a river in the Engage, you can review it now. In the Evaluate portion of this lesson, you will have students use the Moving the Garbage student journal page to draw a way to push or pull the garbage from the water. Students should circle if they are pushing or pulling it. They will share these ideas with partners in the next lesson. See the assessment tracker for guidance on this formative assessment. To support student sense making across the unit, orient students back to the driving question board. Ask students, what did we learn about how we can move the garbage? What new questions do you have? Students will probably wonder how the tools they used in their investigation today could be used to get the trash out of the river. This is the topic of the next lesson. In the optional Extend portion of this lesson, you can take students out on the playground to investigate how pushes and pulls are used in different playground equipment. Have students take turns modeling a push and a pull on the swings, for example. By the end of this lesson, students will have planned and conducted an investigation to compare pushes and pulls, and use data as evidence to explain how pushes and pulls can move garbage from the water. In Lesson 6, students will research and communicate how water pollution is being solved in unique ways around the globe. For more information about this unit, visit mysitepartners.com.